Hi, my name is Marta. I'm very glad you're here. Thank you for spending time with me. These are all my different journals since 2022. In one of my previous videos, we took a look at the first one, volume 1, and half of volume 2, and these two were related to 2022. And today we're going to take a look at this one, half of this one, and then all of this one. And these two together are 2023. They're all fully completed, so let's get into it. Alright, so these are the two journals I used for 2023. Here we go. Half of this one is the end of 2022, and then the other half is beginning of 2023, and this one is all 2023, the rest of it. As you can see, they are pretty big journals. They are very chunky. That's how I like to journal. I journal about every single book I read, and then I put a lot of decoration, ephemera, and just scrapbooking, so that's why they get this chunky. This is an A5 size, and the brands, it's the same brand for the two of them, is Lectrum 1917. I think that's how you pronounce it. Now, by this point, it was the second year I was journaling, and so I had learned quite a few things in the first year. Let me open this up. I reckon the most important thing I learned was that keeping a reading journal really worked for me, and I was able to stick to it. It did exactly what I needed it to do, which is basically just keep track of the books I read and summarize plots of all the different stories. This is the cover page for 2023. I believe this picture was from Pinterest, and this one also was from Pinterest. So I can't even say that I took inspiration from Pinterest. I'm pretty sure I literally just copied it. I did it myself, but I copied it from a picture on Pinterest, and I was never meant to show this kind of content on the internet. Never thought I'd be ready for it. So I didn't keep track of who the original artist or creator was for this, so I'm very sorry I can't credit them, but it's not my idea at all. I do love how it looks though. So starting with, we have what I call the reading library, or TBR, to be read. So this was a list of all the different books that I wanted to read, not books that I owned in any way, just books that I was interested in reading. And this time around, I organized them by year. So I have 2021 here, and there's a list of books that I first heard of them in 2021. I added them to my Goodreads list. At the time I was using Goodreads. Now I use Goodreads as well as Storygraph. But anyway, I had added them to my Goodreads in 2021. And then I have the 2022. So a list of books that I added in 2022. And this opens up. Let me move this for a second as well. So there's quite a few books in here. And what I did was just color in every time I read a book. I'm pretty sure that if there's an X, it's because I DNF'd the book, did not finish it. And then here I have a spread for physical books. So these are the books that I did own, and as such I wanted to somehow prioritize. But as you can see, it didn't go that well. I only read like a couple of them. That's completely fine. The next one I have is books read not on my TBR. So I wanted to keep a page in case that I ended up reading books that were not captured in this list. I wasn't sure if that would be the case or not, but I just wanted to keep a list just in case. What ended up happening is that I ended up reading so many books that were not on the initial list. There's 67 books in total here that I read that at the beginning of the year I had no interest in reading. And so that's something that moving forward I wanted to change, and I wanted to keep it more focused on the actual list. Let's just stick to this list. There's plenty of books here. Let's stick to that list rather than keep adding. And some of them I just added just because, and they ended up not being that good anyway. And then here, I believe this was a list of, it says books that I want, but I think it was books that I added in 2023. So as the year was progressing, I kept adding to my TBR to be read And so I captured them here, and some of them I already tackled them. I already started to read them. One of the things I learned from my 2022 reading journal was that I wanted to track more things. And so I attempted to do this in this journal, and I took it, I believe, on hindsight, right, in reflection, I took it a little bit too far, to the point where I burned out of how many trackers there were and all this information that is not really relevant, but I just wanted to add more annual pages, which is totally fine. This here is the books that I wanted to buy. So these were books that I had already read, but I had an interest in rereading because they were that good, and I wanted to have just a physical copy. As you can see, I didn't buy any of them this year, but I do now have Mary by Nat Cassidy. I have Normal People by Sally Rooney. I have Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Malore. And I don't have I Fell in Love with Hope and The Push, but I don't want them anymore. I don't tend to buy a lot of physical copies because I don't tend to reread a lot of the books. And here we go. It's a series tracker. All the different series I had started during the year or prior, and just to track the progress on those series. And I would just put the title of the series and then a square for every one of the books it has. Then here I have a bookshelf that represents all the different books I read in order as well. I have a legend here that relates to the rating, and I also wrote the titles. These are actually not all the books. I ran out of space, so by the end of 2023 I had read more than what you can see here, but there was no more space, so it is what it is. One of the things I learned with this one is that I rather having more spaces and for it to be emptier at the end of the year than having what happened here, which is that I ran out of space. But you live and you learn, you know? Okay, so this bit here is obviously not completed. It's called Masterpieces, and it was meant to be a library of all the books that I had rated 5 stars by the end of the year. But as you can see, it's left blank, and that's totally fine. And here I have my DNFs, my did not finish books, a list of them with the title and the author. I think in these 2 pages you can very clearly see like all the bleed through. It's not so much bleed through, I don't think. It's just that the pages are so thin in these notebooks. So that's why for 2026 I do change the brand to get more like thicker pages. This is another sort of tracker as well. Is some people call it the Goodreads goal. So apps like Goodreads allow you to set a goal at the beginning of the year relating to how many books you want to read that year. And it's satisfying because you get to tick them off. And this is like a physical version of that as well. So I created all the different squares at the beginning of the year. And as I was reading books, I would complete them. There's 80 books here, but I ended up reading more books than 80. Is just that similar to the bookshelf, I ran out of space. So again, in the future, I do change it and I make sure to have extra space because I'd rather that than running out of it. This here is almost like a priority list. 10 books that I wanted to read in 2023. And I did pretty good. The only one I did not read was To Paradise. The rest I ended up reading, or at least giving it a go. If they have these like dots, it means that I attempted to read them, but I did not finish the books, which is completely fine. And this section here relates to the Goodreads Choice Awards. And I had all the different categories, at least the ones I was more interested in, I think, and what was the winner for each category. And I was aiming to read them all, but again, I wasn't that successful. And yeah, I had a lot of things going on as well in this journal. I think there were all of these different mini challenges, if you will, and they didn't necessarily work at the time. And this is another example. So I have a book bingo here, and what ended up happening is that within the first or second month I had completed it all. So it wasn't that exciting, and then it remained here for the rest of the year, and it was not necessary. And then I had the A to Z challenge, and I think now you maybe understand what I mean about just going overboard with all these different tracking systems and challenges and gamifying reading, and it didn't really work for me this year. A to Z challenge, I'm sure you're familiar with it, but it's just reading a book that starts with the alphabet letters. I did pretty good, but I didn't finish it. I just vividly remember with the X, for example, I read XOXO, which was not on my radar at all. I kind of had a feeling I wouldn't like it, and yet I was like, oh, but it's the X, I'm just gonna read it for reading it. And I remember wanting to DNF, to not finish the book, but thinking, no, but it needs to be here, and I burned out. So yeah. Another example, so this is the Pop Sugar challenge, and very quickly I gave up on it. So these are all the different prompts. When I set this up, it looked very fun. It looked like it would elevate my reading somehow, and what ended up doing is almost like hindering, or like not so much hindering, it's just that I was not enjoying following these prompts and coming here every time I finished the book to check if I had ticked any of them. I was just not enjoying it, so I very quickly stopped. And similar with this one, so I stamped every single year from 1924, and the idea was for me to write down what year books were published and capture it like that. But again, I lost interest, so it's incomplete, and I learned that actually tracking this does not, at least at that time, did not interest me. In 2023, I started to read a poem a day, and this is, I was tracking that, and basically it just shows that, yes, every single day that year I read a poem, and I stuck to Rumi. So I believe he has a book, a poetry collection called A Year of Rumi, and so every single night before going to bed, I would just read a poem. Here I'm tracking the days that I read a book, either ebook or physical, and here I'm tracking the days that I listened to a book. And now that I'm looking at this, actually, all of these should be completed because I did read a poem every day, and reading a poem does count as reading. So all these sporadic gaps I have, they mean that I didn't pick up an actual book, but actually I did pick up a poem. So anyway, they're color-coded by the rating, and it's just interesting to see here how there's this 3-month gap where I didn't I didn't listen to any audiobooks because I burned out, really, and I needed that break, and then I came back with a vengeance. But I needed this break. Yet another tracker, that's what I meant about just over-tracking almost. Another tracker that showcases what days I finished a book. So if it's this salmon color, it means that I didn't finish the book that day. But if it's the purple one, it means that I finished one book. These are the examples. And if it's a blue one, it means that I finished 2 books that day, and then that might be ebook or physical book and an audiobook. That's why there's quite a few blues. And then there's pinkish and yellow that relate to 3 and 4 books, which is not common. And here I have my rereads, but as I kind of mentioned earlier, I don't tend to reread. There's just so many books out there that I have not experienced yet. And to me, it feels like it's not so much it's not a guilty feeling, but it feels like a little bit pointless for me personally to reread books rather than jumping into a new one, a new story, new characters, new plots. But I know that a lot of people find comfort in rereading the books that they love, so completely respect that. Of course, it's just not for me. This year I did reread the Raven Cycle series and Wayward Children because I think new ones were coming out for the Wayward Children, and I just wanted to kind of refresh my memory. Some graphs, so I have every single month here how many books I read that month, and I have it as well patterned depending on the format of the books. So if it's proper black, it was an ebook. If it was stripes, it was an audiobook, and if it was dots, it was physical. February is the month that I read the most, even though it's the month with the least days. but I'm pretty sure that's because I read some mangas, and I don't tend to do that. I don't tend to gravitate towards mangas, but I think this month that was the case. We'll see it later. And then here I just have another graph to showcase how many stars I gave in total, and we can see that mostly it was 4 stars. There's the book bracket here, and similar to the cover page, I can't take any credit for this. I got it from Instagram, and again, I don't know who the creator was, but it looks amazing. I really loved how this turned out, and you might be familiar with the book bracket, but basically you have every single month here. Every single month you pick what your favorite book is, and then when you have January and February, for example, you pick between these two, which is the one that wins, and so forth. And when you have just 6, they also go to battle in a way that you end up narrowing it down to what was your favorite book of that year. And for me, my favorite book in 2023 was Still Life by Sarah Winman. This is a book that I still think about so often. I listened to the audiobook. I highly recommend listening to the audiobook. I feel like it just gave it that extra emotion and just feeling, and the characters were so good. They were so human. They were so tender. The story was just so realistic and emotional. I don't know, I really enjoy it. And lastly, I believe this is the last tracker or annual, not so much tracker, but annual spread. And it's just a list of every single book I read, numbered, as well as with the star rating. There you go. So we'll see how many. So that year, 2023, I read 165 books. So you can see how I quickly ran out of space, because with the bookshelf, with this, for example, it was up to 80, whereas it was almost more than double. So in the future, I do end up creating more space. And then we go into the monthly spreads. What I want to say before I start flipping through is that I journal about absolutely every single book I read, and also there's a lot of spoilers. So the reason why I have a reading journal, the reason why I write about the books I read, is because I read so many and I have such bad memory that very often I would completely forget what was the book about that I read 2 months ago. And so now having these reading journals have been very helpful for me. So be very careful going forward of, don't read don't read what I write, because there's going to be spoilers, and there's going to be very clear plot points that are going to spoil it for you, basically. In terms of the cover page, I think that's something I stuck through for all of this year. And basically I created cover pages for every single month at the beginning. And I also created this library card. So here you can see the books I listened to, and here you can see the books I read. Reading meaning physical or ebook copies. Of course, audiobooks is also reading, but it was just that distinction for me to have that information. What I'm gonna do probably is I will flip through the pages. They have kind of the same format and structure as well. I think by this point I know my style pretty well. So what I'm gonna do is just flip through the pages, but just to point out, what I used to do in 2023 was just have the title of the book and then have the star rating somewhere along the spread, which in this case was here. And then if it was a physical book like this one, I would start with the first sentence of the book. Not so much when it's an audiobook. I would just point out that it was audiobook and that's it. But if it was an ebook or physical book, I will always start with the first sentence of the book. And then here we are in February. So again, cover page, chapter 2. February, I wanted to just focus on reading romance novels because of Valentine's Day. And so I created a list at the beginning of the month of romance novels that I had in my initial list of books that I was interested in reading. And of course, as you can see, it's very satisfying to see how I tick them all off. I read them all. And here I have the different library cards. And as I mentioned earlier, you see I have the manga section, which is not something I tend to do, but that's why my reading spiked this month. It's because I did read a lot of manga. This is the end of volume 2. That's the very last page. So what ended up happening is that in this journal, even though I started 2023 pretty much halfway through, only 2 months fit here. And there's 2 schools of thought, right? There's the school of thought of new year, new journal. And there's the school of thought of, oh no, I have half a book still left. Let's use this. And this year I was more of this second school of thought. And I keep going back and forth. Like, it was a shame. I feel personally it was a shame to let all these pages go to waste. But then also it's a shame that this only has until February of 2023. But it's fine. This takes us nicely to volume 3. And this is the rest of 2023. Let me set you up. Let's start from the beginning. So it's from the 1st of March 2023 to the 31st of December 2023. And I have this very brief cover page. And then we jump straight into 2023 March, because there's no annual spreads here. The annual spreads were in the other one. So I also had to keep going back and forth every time I wanted to fill in any of the trackers, but that's completely fine. I do tend to have 2 journals per year anyway, because I do journal a lot. So this is the cover for March. Kept the same kind of a structure, listening, reading, and also I carried over just having a list of books I was interested in reading that month. Then we have April, and again, same kind of idea. Oh, and this was a readathon, so it was a Patreon exclusive readathon from Jordaline. And here are all the different prompts. And then what I did was just write down underneath the books I read for each of the prompts and the star rating I gave them. That was a fun one. Then we have May. Same idea with the list of books I was interested in reading that month. I didn't mention it earlier, but I don't tend to match the decoration to the content of the book. I wish I could, but I feel like that just limits me in terms of creativity, and also I feel like I would find myself being frustrated every single time because I don't have enough stationery that fits the theme of the book. So I just play it by ear, go by what feels right that day and what stationery I feel like using that day. Here we have June, all the different books, and again the list. And here you can see I just read I just listened to 3 books that day, so I feel like here is when I started to feel a little bit burned out about listening to audiobooks, and of course that's gonna show in the amount of books I ended up reading per month, because audiobooks are such a quicker way to consume books than actually sitting down and reading physically or via ebook, really. July, all the different books. See, there was only one audiobook and there was roughly the same number of physical ebooks, but of course the total number did decrease. Then we have August, and August was only physical or ebooks. September. October, one of my slowest months, I reckon. But good quality. Quality is way more important, of course, than quantity. So 4 stars, The Secret History. It's a very good one. 4 stars, Cadáver Exquisito. 5 stars, Home Before Dark. So, good month. Book of Accidents, 4 stars. Great. It was a good month. Then we have November, and I'm just noticing now that, I didn't print any of the library cards, but completely fine. And December, the last month. And then I have all the different covers of all the books I have read. I printed them. This is something I think it's the last year I do it, just because I don't find myself coming back to check this page, and it takes a lot to just print them and then have to cut them. It does take a lot of time for something that is not very useful. And that's it. This is the end, last page of volume 3. I hope you enjoyed this flip through. A lot of hours and a lot of work went into it, and I just loved absolutely every second of it. It's one of my favorite things. Do let me know if you keep a reading journal. Let me know if it's similar to mine, if you journal about every single book you read, or if you just do it quarterly, or you just journal about your favorite ones. Do let me know. And if you remember what was your favorite book of 2023, also do let me know. I hope you're having a good day, and remember, be kind to yourself. Bye.